a minute since I've uploaded video, around 5, 6 months or so. Uh, Sorry for that. Things got a little crazy with work and my master's program. Yeah, life gets crazy, and I was unable to maintain a consistent upload schedule. However, many of you guys have reached out and have been wondering when I was going to upload a new video. So things have settled down a little bit, and I should be able to have time to, consistently and regularly upload videos. This week we have Tic Tac, and I'm really excited about this project. It's a really fun one to do. So yeah, thanks guys for sticking it out with me, and let's start developing software together again. Thanks. Hey everyone, Future Rob here. Just finished the project, Tic Tac. We built this project with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are using this really cool neon effect with this cool background. We have some cool CSS transitions, and we have several different game modes. You can do human versus human versus easy AI, human versus hard AI. We have some basic form validation here. The hard AI is actually impossible to beat. It will, we can tie with it, but it will never let us beat it. It will either tie or win. We can do human versus human and human versus easy AI. Easy AI is just picks a random available spot that's open to it. This, as you notice, this project is actually posted on GitHub pages, so you can visit this URL from anywhere. So once you're done with this project and you like how it turns out, you can share it with friends, family, whoever wants to see it, potential employers. But yeah, this project turned out really well. We did it with about 265 lines of JavaScript code. So we tried our best to keep this project documented well, and added, validation in all the different game modes. So hopefully you guys can follow along. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any questions or problems with it. But yeah, we'll see you guys at the end of the project. Bye. Yeah, let's get into the project. So the first step is going to be get the Git repo set up, and then start working on the project. Thinking about this, I might skip over the HTML and CSS. If you guys want to see how that's done, just let me know down below in the comments, but I'll probably skip over that, and then after I get it all set up, I'll just go over some of the key points of it. The Git repository will be public, so you can clone it and see what I did as well if you want to go over that, or if you want to copy and paste it. So we're going to get the Git repo set up, and then we'll just start working on the code. So if we go to GitHub first, let's make a repo here. I'll call it Tic Tac. Be private, or sorry, it'll be public, so anyone can clone or fork it as you see fit. So we're going to actually just copy this line right here. In our terminal, we can open up where we save our Odin projects. Mine is at projects personal Odin. So we're going to do mkdir tic tac toe. We're going to cd into that, do git init, and then we can copy and paste this line right here. And then we're going to do git branch m main. Then we can open this up with code. Perfect. First file we'll make is just the index.html. And let's do styles.css, reset.css, main.js, do a readme, .me, and let's do prettier. Perfect. Let's just push all of these to Git. Let's push all these to GitHub real quick. But we can do that in VS Code with the source control over here. We're just going to push all of them at once, and we'll say initialized project publish branch, and then if we refresh, we should see that over here. Okay, throughout this project, I'm going to try my best to use good documentation and comments, as well as to utilize Git techniques like break-quit commits with good commit messages. So also throughout this project, I think I'm going to fast forward or skip through where the index or structuring out the HTML as well as the styles. After that, I'll just go through the main points of that. I think that you guys are probably getting more familiar and better acquainted with HTML and CSS, and hopefully, hopefully it makes sense after I skip through it. This Git repository is also public, so if you guys want to copy that and see what I did, feel free to do that. I think that the main focus on this project is going to be the JavaScript. In future projects, if you guys want me to spend more time on the HTML and CSS, I can. I'm more than willing to do that. I just feel like you guys are probably at a point where that makes a lot more sense. So I'll see you guys once we get through, and I'll just walk you through the main points of that. Everyone, welcome back. We just finished the HTML and CSS, what the project looks like. So recently I've been reading, or I saw somebody's project. It was not Tic Tac, but it was a similar project where they used this like neon effect with CSS, which I thought was really cool, and I thought it would make a really cool aesthetic for the project. I'll kind of walk you through what we have going on here. So we have our initial form, which gets data from the player. So you can have player 1's name, player 2's name. You could select human versus easy AI, and human versus hard AI. For human versus human, I think that makes a lot of sense, hopefully. Human versus easy AI, I'm thinking for that, we'll just have an AI that randomly picks from available spots. And then human versus hard AI, I thought we would go with very bottom here. There's a way to make it so you could have an unbeatable AI using the minimax algorithm. So there's a little bit of research into that, and I think we should be able to implement that into our project. Let me hide this form real quick. We'll eventually do that with our CSS, but I just want to show you what it looks like behind that. You just have to hide this modal right here, play none, and we need to also hide our modal wrapper. Cool. So once we finish the form, this is what the game board will look like. You can't. There's no JavaScript or anything yet, but this is what it'll look like afterwards. If we want to, we can actually put like an X and O in here, just so you can see what those will look like once we start adding those. And we're also going to have to add like player 1 class and a player 2 class. So as you can see, even the letters here, based off of the player, like player 1 will have more of a green effect, and player 2 will have more of a pink effect. Also a hover effect on each of these squares. And I think I'm going to change that restart game real quick to new game, just so that makes a little bit more sense. The reset game will reset the game, just play another game with the same settings, the same players, same player names, all of that. New game will allow you to just pop up that form again and select, like if you want to do human versus hard AI, and then you want to do human versus easy AI after that. So that'll just allow you to select that. But all in all, I think this project looks really good with the HTML and CSS. It just walk you through just the most important parts of that. So The outer or the outer component for this project is content. This is just where, yeah, the game board is going to reside. So we have our title, whose turn it is. Once we link up our JavaScript with this, we can dynamically put the player's name here, which we'll get from the form. Reset, new game buttons right here. Then we have a wrapper for the game board. And then, yeah, inside of the game board, we have our 9 boxes. Starts with ID of 0, goes to ID of 8. Just get rid of these real quick. And then we have a modal here. This is just going to pop up once the game's over, and we'll just have the result. This span close will just be like a little X that you can click up to close out that modal and start a new game. And then we have another modal right here. This is just the initial form. We'll see these inputs and stuff, player 1 name, player 2's name, and then just those radio buttons, human versus human, easy AI or hard AI. And then we have our button to start the game right here. So all in all, it's not a ton of HTML, less than 100 lines. And of course, we have our script source right here to main.js. Nothing in main.js right now. And we also have our style sheets at the very top. One of the Google fonts we're using right here, we could just pull from our Google Font API, which is Yellowtail with 400. That's just this cool font that we're using here. I thought it looked really well with the neon effect that we're using. And then in our styles, let's get rid of this so that those initial forms get pulled back up. Okay, so the body, we set the width and height to 100 viewport width and height, like always. We also have a background image right here. If you want to use that same one, it's just this brick wall. You get it from Pixabay. They have a cool CDN where you can just put a URL in and it'll put it as your background image. We also have, if you want to see that neon effect, that's this text, or sometimes there's a box shadow. That's probably the biggest thing that you guys are going to want to see. So we set the font color to like white for the title, as you can see behind the form. Then a text shadow. So I actually just found this online. I can't necessarily explain too well what's going on here, but essentially, like, the more of these sections you see separated by commas, the more you have of these and the farther out they go, the less of the less strong the shadow is. So right here, really close, the shadow is going to be pretty strongly white. As we go farther away, we change the color to this blue color, and it just fades away. We're using that on quite a few of the fonts. Our game board, we're using display grid with each of the columns and rows broken out into fractional units. So each row and each column takes 1/3 of the game board width, which I think we set. Thought we set that somewhere else, but I guess not. Game wrapper. Okay, so the game wrapper, I'm going to actually just move this. So the game wrapper surrounds the game board. So this is just taking 100% of the width. I'll also set the width and height right here. And then each of these boxes, these are the boxes you click into. They have a box shadow, which is essentially the same effect as the text shadow, that neon effect. We're using rems instead of pixels here, so you can use any of those effects that you want. We also have a transition where those squares, if you hover over them, they get bigger. And I'm also going to actually set a cursor pointer here as well. I did right here. This actually doesn't need to be here. And player 1, they get this greenish effect, and player 2, they get a pink effect. And then we also have a dynamic. So as you can see, if the screen gets smaller, like the squares will respond to the size of the screen as well. So a cool little responsive design we have. That's what this is doing right here. So max width is, so anything under 900 pixels, then we set the game board width to auto. Otherwise, we set the width and height right here. So, okay, then the modal we have right here. I actually just got this from the MDN documentation on how to make modals. So I did add my own like text shadows and box shadows, as you can see here. So yeah, there's quite a bit of classes. This has about 218 lines of code. If you guys want to use the same CSS styles, then yeah, you can just find all of this on the GitHub repo. We also have our reset.css, which you just Google set CSS, and I just got this from here. Just copied and pasted all of this. This just resets a lot of the base stylings that come pre-built into HTML. So yeah, as you can see, the margin and padding and all that stuff gets set to 0. This just gets rid of a lot of the styling, so we can implement our own and have like full control over that. So let's just push this. Here we changed start game verbiage to new game. And styles, what did we do? Moved I think we're ready to get started on the main.js. We're going to close our style sheets, we're going to close the README, and we're going to close prettier. Probably have to refer back to the index.html, so I'm going to keep this open, but for the most part, we're going to look at our main.js. The first step, we need to attach event listener to the form to get user data. Next, initialize game. Can't spell. Okay, next. So we need to check which game mode playing, and then right here we have GitHub Copilot open. I'm actually going to turn GitHub Copilot off. Just disable that. We recognize you guys might not have GitHub Copilot, so in order to not cheat, quote unquote cheat this project, we're just going to do it ourselves. So we need to set win conditions. We need to determine current player. What else do we need? When we initialize the game, actually right here, we need to attach event listeners to each game box. Submit. Okay, those are our current steps. Yeah, so pretty much after each move, check win conditions, and if not met, set other player as active. we're going to do human versus human first. Then we'll do easy AI. And next we'll do impossible AI. Cool. Okay, let's get started. So the first step, we need to do const. Let's do form is equal to document query selector. What did we give the form? Find that right here. Give it an ID of my form. So we do pound my form. And then we can do form add event listener. So we're going to listen for a submit event. And once we do that, we get access to the event. We're going to do event default. Anytime a form is submitted in HTML, it refreshes the page. We don't want that to happen, otherwise we'll have to fill out the form again. And then we can grab the data from the form by going const form data equal to new form data, like so. Let's event refresh. And then we have to say const data equal to object from entries of form data. This will just this form data automatically gets the data from the form, and this will just convert it into an object that we can use. Next, let's hide the modal that the form is in, which would be right here, modal wrapper. If we grab this entire wrapper and hide it, then anything within that will get hidden as well. So do document query selector. This will be dot modal wrapper. And then we could do dot set attribute. We want to do hidden is true. And then let's just console log the data and see what we get back. So close out of this. If we refresh, it should still be there. We're going to open up the console. Rob 0.0. We'll do human versus human, and we start the game. Okay, we didn't get anything back, so we probably did something wrong. Okay, here we actually need to pass in the form. I think. Yeah, there we go. So you can see we get an object with these three things: player 1 name, player 2 name, and choice of 0. So choice of 0, see here with these inputs, these radio buttons. We gave human versus human a value of 0, easy AI a value of 1, and hard AI a value of 2. That way we can just easily differentiate between them with just with integers. So as you can see, we already get the form data, which is great. I'm going to push this up. Event listener on form for user data. Initialize. Cool. Okay, now that we have the user data, we need to fire a function here called initialize don't know why I can't spell initialize right now. Initialize game with the data. So that'll give us access to the user info as well as what game mode we're playing. So let's make that function here. Instead of doing function initialize game, I'm going to do a different type of function notation. I'm going to go const initialize game equal to pass it the data and an arrow function. This is just a different way to write functions. In essence, they're the same. There are slight differences with, I believe, hoisting and some like deeper JavaScript methods. However, for what we're doing here, they're going to be the same. Personally, I prefer to write my functions like this, but it's just user preference essentially. Think of a function, it's essentially like a dynamic variable that you can do stuff with. So I'm just going to, from here on forward with the rest of my videos, for the most part, I'm going to use this type of notation for my for my functions. So here we are going to initialize game variables, and we're going to add event listeners to the game. Okay, so in order to make this as easy as possible, we have several different options for how we want to initialize the game variables. We get an object right here, and I think it'd be somewhat easy to actually just add all of our variables to that object. That way, if we need to pass a whole bunch of variables to another function, we could just pass the object instead, and that function would have access to those variables. So we could say like data.choice. We actually already have data.choice. I'm actually going to convert this to an integer instead of a string. You saw here, like it's a string. Let's just convert it to an integer. You can do that several different ways, but this is an easy way. If we just do data.choice is equal to plus data.choice, that will, with JavaScript, that will convert a string to a number if it's possible to do that. So if we console.log data right here, you'll see that instead of a string, it will be a number. You can see there. Perfect. Okay, let's do several other variables. Let's do data.board equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This corresponds to the IDs that we have right here. So what we can do to make the board is we can say like data.board of index of 4 is equal to x, and that will change the board from a 4 to an x. So I think going forward, to maintain the state of the game, we can use that method. The data.player1 is equal to just the x, and data.player2 is equal to an O. We already have the player names right here, so we don't need to change those. Those are still on the data object. Let's do data.round equal to 0. We start on 0. Let's do data.current player equal to data.game over equal to false. And I think that's all we need for now. If we need anything else, we know where to put it. What's nice about that is, we would have access to wherever we put this data variable. So, perfect. And what we can actually do is we can move all of this to another function called const initialize variables. Actually, we don't even need to return it. I could just say initialize variables data. Now we console.log data could see all of those variables that we just initialized. Oh, there we go. All the variables that we've initialized. And now, yeah, if we need to pass, like it might be slightly inefficient, but if we needed to pass like data.choice and player1 and current player to a function, now we just have to pass one thing to it, and we have access to any variable that we need. So I think this is a good way to not use any global variables. Like that's going to be our goal. That's on here is use as few global variables as possible. So I think this will be an easy way to do that. So let's add a commit real quick to initialize game variable. With function. Cool. Okay, the next thing that we should do is let's add event listeners to the game board, which we want to do right here. We could do that with a function as well. So create a function that will do that. Add event listeners to game board. I don't know if we'll need anything in here, but we need access to this, which we might. We can pass that in. Actually, yeah, let's just pass that in. I think we might need that. So we can do document query selector all. These had a class of box. Getting that from here. We're just going to grab all of these boxes and add an event listener to it. Add event listener. I'll add a click event. And actually, I don't think that'll work. We need to do .for each box. Here, we need to do box.add event listener. So we need to loop through each box to add add an individual event listener to each box. So here we'll add a click event. That gives us access to event as well. And you do play move with event.target and data. So within data, we know who the current player is and the board. So yeah, this will play move, this function right here. We can set that function up to mark the game board, as well as check win conditions, as well as change current player. So let's make that function now. We'll put it down here. Let's play move equal to so let's just call this the box and data. Let's just console.log. Let's just see what it gives us. And actually, before we do that, we need to make sure we call that function, add event listener to game board with data. So let's just see what that gives us once we click on it. We can see we get the div right here, the box ID of 0. So we could even just grab that ID. And then, yeah, we get all of the data as well. So this one should give us a box ID of 4. This one's 8. So yeah, as you can see, we're getting the click events toward proper. The first thing we should check is game over? If game over, don't do anything. So we'll just do if data.gameOver is true, then we're just going to return, and we won't do anything else. We don't have to write else, just like if this happens, it will return. Otherwise, you don't have to write else. Implicit. Otherwise, we also need to check if GameBox has a letter in it. So how can we do that? So initially we wanted to say like we want to change the game board. You don't have to have numbers here. I think this will just make it easier, but instead of having that, so if somebody clicked on an index of or box ID of 4 like player X did, we could just overwrite this 4 with an X. So, or we can check, and I think that's the easiest way to do it. Instead of making a function to the DOM, we can just do it all within the JavaScript, as long as we maintain like a good relationship between the DOM and between our JavaScript. So let's say if data.board of box.id is not equal to X, or now this needs to be and it's not, and if data.board box.id is not equal to O, then we can continue. So actually what we can say is if this is, we can say if this is equal to X, or if this is equal to O, then we'll just return it. Cool. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so since we actually have console.log box data afterwards, if we click on stuff, it should still console.log. But for example, here, if we change this to an X, that was the first one, it shouldn't console.log, as you can see. So that seems to be working properly. Okay, so if those two things aren't true, we could technically wrap these together in the same if check. You could say if this or this or this return, but you could do that. I think this is a little bit easier to understand. Like if the game is over, don't do anything, or if, yeah, I don't know, just however you think about it. Both of those are valid though. Okay, next thing we need to check, we need to move the player, like we need to adjust the DOM, so like put an X or an O. So let's do adjust DOM for player move, and then check when condition. Okay, so what we should do, I think what we can do is box.id is equal to, oops, sorry, this needs to be data.board equal to data.currentPlayer. Okay, and then we just need to put the text content or the HTML to the current player as well. So luckily we can actually do this right here, .text content is equal to data.player. I think that should work. Cool. As you can see, X's are getting put on the screen. If we click, it does not console.log, which is great. Okay. We also want to change the class name. Box.class list.add. We need to say, actually, let's do dot name is equal to, so if data dot current player is equal to X, then we want to do box player 1, else let's do box player 2. So what we're doing is we're setting the class name if the current player is X, which is player 1, we want to add player 1. And you might be wondering, why am I adding box again? Just because I'm resetting the class name. So if I don't add this, I'll show you what happens. It'll remove it'll just remove the entire class that we have there. So we add box. There's probably a better way to do this. Let me think. This should work though. Yeah, it doesn't reset the class name. I think we could do class list add. Okay. I think get rid of this and this. I think this will do the same thing. Let's double check. Perfect. Okay, so those are two different ways you could have done it. This might not make a ton of sense what I'm doing here. This is a ternary operator. I don't know if Odin Project has gone over these, but pretty much we're saying if data.player is equal to X, then do this, add this. This is the value. Otherwise, do this. There's a cool place to check that out. You can do JavaScript ternary operator, and develop.mozilla has really great documentation on this. This is just a really easy way to do an if-else check. Another way we could have done it, we could have said like let class is equal to player 1. Can't do class, so let's do let class name. We can say if data.current player is equal to O, then class name is equal to player 2, and then you could just add the class name here instead. This might make more sense to you. They're both valid ways to do it though. Do whatever you're comfortable with. Cool. Okay, so that should be good there. Let's increase the round. I don't know if the round number, I don't know if we'll end up using it. It's actually another check we could do. Increase the round number, so the data.round plus. Another way that the game would be over is if data.round is equal to, we started it at 0, so if it's equal to 9, it's greater than equal to, if it's greater than 8, that means the game's over. I don't know if this check will matter if we write our code well. I don't think this check will matter, but okay. Now let's check end conditions. Okay, let's see what we've done so far, and let's make commits for those. First one, we added event listeners to the game board. So I'm gonna hide this for now. Added I don't want to delete. Let me copy. Added event listeners game board. Okay. I just deleted everything. Let's paste that back in. Now started want to make sure that we're frequently committing to GitHub or to Git. We actually haven't committed very much to GitHub. We have 6 commits to push, but we don't need to push those quite yet. Okay, so we're just going to say like if end conditions of data return. Actually, just reflect end condition. Okay, so let's make a function now called end conditions. Okay, I think I'm going to put the end conditions as a global variable, so we will have one global variable. Fortunate, I know. Let's call it winning locations, winning conditions. It's going to be an array of arrays. So we think of the game board like this. Essentially, the game board looks like 0, 1, 2. That's one row. 3, 4, 5. That's another row. And then we have 6, 7, 8. That's the third row. So you can imagine a tic-tac-toe game like this, which is actually what we see over here. So these are actually already win conditions. There's multiple ways to win in tic-tac-toe. You could have all 3 rows, all 3 columns. That's 6, and then 2 diagonals. So there's 8 winning conditions in tic-tac-toe. So if you have the same player in any of these 3 spots, any of these 3 spots, or any of these 3 spots, then you've won. Let's do the columns, which would be 0, 3, 6, which we can see right here, 0, 3, 6. That's a win condition. 1, 4, 7. Another win condition, which you can see right there, and 2, 5, 8. 2, 5, 8. And then we have 0, 4, 8 for one of the diagonals. And the other diagonal is 2, 4, 6. I don't think there's any other win conditions. Those are the only ways. Like, obviously you could have x, 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 2, 1, 0, but that's actually the same thing as 0, 1, 2. So I believe that these are all of the possible win conditions. I could be wrong on that, but hopefully we're right. How we want to do end conditions. Okay, so there's 3 potential options. You could have a winner, you could have a tie, or you could have game not over yet. So we just need to check those 3 things. So let's say if check winner of data, then we'll return true. Else if data.round is equal to 9, return true, else we can return false. Okay, so we need to make another function called checkWinner. Okay, so this is really where we want to check to see if somebody's met the win conditions. But I think this function will give us one of these 3 options, which is a better way to do it. Okay. We also need to adjust the DOM here and adjust the DOM here. Okay, the easiest way to do this, let's just set let result equal to false, and then we'll return result. Okay, so right now by default it's going to return false, which means there's not a winner. But what we need to do is loop over the winning conditions dot for each. What should we call this? Condition, I guess. Not going to be very creative. Okay, so we could say if data.board of condition 0 is equal to data.board of condition 1. If that's true, that would mean, like, if we're looking, we're going to look through all of these, but we're going to say if this is equal to this, then we also need to check and if either one of these, but if this is equal to this, if all of those are X or all of those are O, then a win condition has been met. It's nice about how we set up the board right here. 0 is not equal to 1, 1 is not equal to 2, so this won't be true off the bat. It'll only be true if they're the same strings, same letters, right? Right here, let's do an and. Data.board of condition 1 equal to data.board condition 2. Okay. If that's true, just console.log player has 1. Okay. Okay, so it's going to loop through each condition. Each condition has 3 indexes, 0, 1, 2. Right here we can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of those are, since each of these are separated, each of these are a win condition. And if they're all the same, then somebody's won. Otherwise, so right here, we want to say that's true, then result is equal to true. That result will become true and will return true. Let's see if this works. Right now, since we're not switching players, we should actually be able to get a win right here. There's one. Perfect. And it's still letting us do stuff because we haven't set data.game over equal to true. So it shouldn't let us click anymore. Let's just verify that. Cool, players 1, and it doesn't let us click anymore. Perfect. Okay, let's get rid of that console log. Okay. Okay, so if we want to have a winner, we need to do a few things. Let's, there's a modal that I made in the index right here. Let's update the DOM. There might be, we're going to be updating the DOM quite a bit as well, so I think we should probably make a function that can do that. You can see, like right here, adjust the DOM, adjust the DOM, adjust the DOM. So I think we're just going to make a function that can do that. What are we going to need? We're going to need the class name and X content. Is there anything else we need? We might be doing this wrong, but we will deal with it once we get there. Let's say document.query selector. So class name. We're going to have to do backticks, period, class name. Okay. We need to do, okay, we're grabbing the class name. We need to do set attribute Let's do display to block and let's grab it. Const element is equal to that. Say set attribute, and let's do lm.textContent is equal to text content. Okay, I'm not sure if this will work, but let's see. Just the DOM. So class name is going to be modal right here. Yeah, this isn't going to work, is it? Okay, we're unhiding it there. We don't have to pass in text content. So let's just pass an empty string. Let's adjust the DOM of result. And let's do data dot current player plus as won the game. See if this works, I'm not sure. Fingers crossed. Okay. I don't think that it likes this. Let's just grab document.query selector modal set attribute hidden or no play block. Okay, not liking something. This a class? Yep. Class of modal. I think that's what we hid, right? Not even actually sure what we're using this for. Oh wait, this modal is actually trying to add the winner to the wrong place. Let's just put it right here on display turn. So we don't need this. Okay. Right here, instead of player one's turn, it should say X has won the game. Cool. Space here. And we actually don't want it to say data.currentPlayer. So let's say if data.currentPlayer equal to X, then we're going to say data.player1name. That what we yep. Not liking that. I don't blame it. This is a little bit messy. I think yeah, let's just say let win X content to just grab all of this out of here. Don't know why we'd want to all of that in there. Needs to be a semicolon. Okay, I really want to put this in here, but this might be a little bit more readable. Let's just say winner name Cool. Here we go. Okay, I like that more. Then what else do we need to do here? Do we need to do anything here? If it's a tie, you just say copy this. Also need to your data dot game over true or true, otherwise return false, which means you can keep playing. I don't even know if I need. I don't even know if I need to check or put in a check here. Or no, I do. Okay, so if in conditions, then we're actually already adjusting the DOM. So yeah, I don't think. Okay, so if this is true, then we're just going to return true. Okay, so yeah, if the game's over, return true, or we just need to return, actually. We already are adjusting the DOM. Get rid of this now. Else, we will continue on. Okay. So if the conditions are met, then we return. Otherwise, we need to change the current player. So I think that should be like relatively easy. So let's do change current player. Means change the DOM and change data.current. Relatively easy. Let's do let's just make a function for this. Let's call it change player of data. We'll do both of those things in it. So let's put it right here. Const change player is equal to data. So what we can say is data.currentPlayer is equal to, so if data.currentPlayer is equal to x, then we're going to do O, else we do x. Okay, this looks weird, right? But essentially we're assigning new value to current player. If current player is x, we're going to change it to O, otherwise we're changing it back to x. So we also need to adjust the DOM. So we're going to go adjust DOM. Going to be display earn. And this one is going to be, let's just make this template string literal. So data, yeah, let's say, let's do let display earn text equal to data. I think even before, no, right here, yeah. Data.currentPlayer is equal to x. Then we go with data.player1 name, else data.player2 name. Okay, so yeah, if it's X's turn, we'll go with player 1's name, otherwise we'll go with player 2's name. And we need to make sure we call that here. So I think this should work. Let's check it. Player 2. Cool. One thing I'm noticing, let's check a few things real quick. Yeah, I won the game. Let's refresh. Have O win real quick. See if it works. Oh, Choose won the game. Perfect. Okay. Thing I'm noticing is on start of the game, we probably should we should probably display this. Initialize game. Just set this right here. And we don't even need, we could just say player one game. So if I say Rob, up to it should say Rob's turn. Cool. Okay, before it was still saying player one's turn until it was player one's turn again. Yeah, let's push a few changes. So what we made function for adjust the DOM and to change player. Okay, this is a lot of lines of code already, but we're making pretty good progress. So what we should actually do is we should probably only change the player if it's human versus human. Otherwise, it's not human versus human. Otherwise, we can the AI play their turns. So let's say if data.choice equal to 0, then we'll do this one. Else if data.choice equal to 1, then we'll do easy AI. Change yeah, okay. So if we do human versus human, it should still work. And I think we tested it a little bit. And yeah, Rob has won the game. We refresh. We have O in the game. Oops. I still have O in. Yeah. 2 has won the game. Now we select something other than option 1, like nothing, like we should actually prevent multiple moves, but yeah, as you can see, it's not going to change the current player. Okay, so let's just do easy AI move of, guess what, passing in the data. And we could say data.currentPlayer equal to, okay, let's make our function for easy AI. For easy AI, let's adjust the DOM so that player 2. So let's just do change player data. Okay. Let's do, okay, so we want to do data. We need to get a random number. So let's go let random number equal to math.for of math.random times 9. That'll give us a random number between 1 or 0 and just what we want. We need to make sure we get a random number of available spaces, which, okay, so we can do a while check. So we could say while data.board of index is equal to x, or data.board of index equal to O. We're going to say random number. We're just going to do this again. And this shouldn't be index, this should be random number. Okay, so it's going to get us a random number, and if the board at that index already has a letter, we're going to just get another one. It's just going to keep looping over that until it gets us a number that hasn't been picked yet. It's probably a better way to write this. Like if we think about it, we already have the board. So like we could get the array, the board, we could filter out all the X's and O's, and we could just get a random number from that length. That's probably more efficient. I like that more. Okay, let's get rid of this. Yeah, so we're going to say let available spaces to data.board.filter wherever the space is not equal to, or sorry, we need to do space is not equal to X and space is not equal to O. Okay. Cool. Okay, we need to do, we have that length. So we could do let random number, let's just do let index equal to math dot floor math dot random. And we need to pick a random number from script. Just Google how to do that. Random index from array JavaScript. Okay, we were on the right track. I'm gonna copy this. Yeah, it should get us an available space. Call it move. Let's do let move. Okay, if we have our move, then we could say data.board of move is equal to data.player2. We could just do O, but we'll just do data.player2 since we have that variable there. Then have a function for this. We need to add this class list as well. I should put this into its own function, like the class list and move and stuff. We also need to, box actually is not going to. We have to do document.query selector. Let's do let box document.query selector. Going to be, those are IDs, or sorry, yeah, IDs. So do move the box text content is equal to data.to, and we're adding the class lists. Perfect. I think that should work. We need to now change the player again. And actually, we don't need to change the player yet. Let's do if and conditions data. So I think everything's actually set up. We don't even have to check in conditions. We could just call that function. I think this is right. Let's check. That not valid. Doesn't like that. We said get element by. Right, that. Cool. Okay, seems to be working. I'm gonna try to let it win. I don't know if I can. It's too stupid. Let's try to get it to win again. I just want to make sure the win conditions work for it. Dude, this thing is too stupid to win. Alright, it's very easy, as you can see. Okay, buddy, you got this. Okay, so it did win. Why doesn't it? Did change the player. Did make a move. Why hasn't it ended the game? Won't let me do anything, which is good. But thinks that there's a winner. Are we changing the current? Okay, change player. Where's change player? Right here. Get a little bit of debugging, which is always a good thing, right? Okay, just say end game. Get right here. Game over is true. Oh, I wonder. Look at the board. Okay. The board has 2, 4, 6. Here's the win condition. Maybe just adjust the DOM, I guess. Yeah, this works. I don't know why. I don't know why adjusting the DOM here, because that's what we built this function to do. If check winner data, which it should. Like it should do that. It should check this. Oh, wait. Is it because I wasn't passing in the data? Nope, it was. No. Okay, let's try that. Really hope he wins. Okay, we go here. Can't get him to win on that one. Try again. Dude, this guy's so dumb. Come on, dude. Please win. Can't believe it doesn't have any desire to win the game. Okay, it did win. It's not returning true. Okay. And we just have to check if in conditions, then return. Okay. I think that should be all we need to do. One thing I might want to do with this is might set a small timeout so that their move isn't like instant. Like it's just a little jarring, like how quick like their move is. So we could solve this inside of a set timeout. So we'll fire this function and wait. Let's just do 200 milliseconds. I think this will work. If we start, yeah. Yeah, something's going on. Okay, put this outside, and cool. All right, I think Easy AI and Human AI are both up and running and good to go. That change. Okay, next we need to work on hard AI. Now, the hard AI is going to be the trickiest part of this. We have to use the minimax algorithm, which is essentially recursion. So, I haven't actually done this yet, but I did, do a little bit of research on how to do this. Effectively, what we need to do is we'll make a move, and then the player, like computer player, will have to analyze every single possible potential move. And tic-tac-toe isn't a ton. Like it could make 8 possible moves, but then after that, then I can make 7 possible moves, and it can make 6. So there are like 1,000, or I don't know. It's a ton of potential moves, right? Like it's an exponential amount, like 8√7 or something, I think is the math. So there's a ton of possible moves. It has to go through all of those and find out how to first minimize its losses, and then essentially that's what it's doing. Is player 2 would be to minimize its losses. So it's going to it essentially sets up a reward scheme to where if it loses the game, then it gets like negative points. If it ties the game, it gets 0 points, and if it wins the game, it gets positive points. So yeah, its goal is to get as many points as possible and avoid losses. So it's going to do anything in its power to make sure that I don't win the game. And then if it ever sees a possibility to win the game itself, it will take that. So yeah, that's essentially what it's going to do. In tic-tac-toe, just with how the game is set up, it is possible to never like have a winner. Like as player 2, you're at a disadvantage. You have fewer moves available to you. Your goal as player 2 should always be to tie the game, but essentially, like, once you learn how to play tic-tac-toe, it is impossible to beat you, just because there's always a way to counter the opponent's move. So yeah, we're going to essentially work on that. And like, if this is where you stopped like coding your game, that's fine. I think that this algorithm is going to be slightly difficult to implement just because I've never done it before. As I said earlier, I have done some research on how to do it. So let's work on that. So we need to go back up here to remove. And just say if data dot, let's do it else if data dot choice is equal to 2. Let's do possible. Let's see, do comments. That probably didn't increase the round right here. Let's increase the round. I don't think we're really using that for any. We're using it for ties actually, so we do need to increase the round here. It's actually something we didn't test. Let's test that. Before we move on to possible AI. And I think we have some problems. Okay, hit 1. Didn't update. I didn't update. Move this out. Might work now. Okay, that's working. Yeah, we need to get best possible move from minimax algorithm. Okay, so let's make an algorithm. Let's call it minimax data player. I'm going to pass in player 2 for this. So, like right here, we'll just say minimax of data player. Oh, it should give us the best like potential move. So get the available moves again. Available moves, available spaces. Right here. Okay. Right. Let's do if. Need to check the winner. Okay. So we need to check if winner set score to -100. If check if winner. If player 1 wins, score to -100. If tie, set score to 0. If win, set score to... Okay, that's what I was talking about earlier. If player 2 loses, then they get -100 points. They win, they get 100. So we're trying to maximize their points, or minimize their losses. Okay. On potential moves, right now it's just going to be an empty array. Okay, so we're going to do for let I equal to 0. I is less than available spaces dot length I plus plus. We're going to loop over. Okay. Let move, let's set it to an object. We're going to say move.index equal to data.board of available spaces of I. So that'll give us 0 through 8, and these are already filtered out for spaces that have been taken. So we're going to say if we're going to say data.player2 is equal to, what we need to do is if player is equal to data.player2, then we're going to say move.score equal to minimax data o.score, else move.score minimax data .score. This is actually wrong. This needs to be x. Needs to be o. So if we're on player 2, move.score, this is where the recursion comes from. We're going to call the function again, this time with player 1, and get the score. Now, we might not get a score from this, which means we're going to reduce all of our potential moves. We're going to loop through every potential move and get the score from that. So yeah, we're going to call this function over and over and over until we've gone through every potential move and got a score for it. So as you can imagine, at the beginning of the game, there are many more potential options, but as the game goes on, there's fewer and fewer potential moves, so the function gets called fewer times. Okay, we're going to say data.board of available spaces I is equal to move.index. Move or potential moves push move. Okay. Okay, that ends our for loop. We're going to say let best move equal to 0. If player equal to data.player2 best score, or no, sorry, let best score equal to -1000. So what we're doing here is getting the best move. Right now it's set to 0. This is just going to be 0 through 8, or which best move is potential, or like which one's going to be the best move. So if we're on player 2 right now, as you remember, we keep switching between the function, like recursively calls itself, keeps switching between the 2 players. So if we're on player 2, best score is negative 10,000. So as I said earlier, like player 2 is trying its best not to have, or it's trying to reduce its losses essentially. So yeah, like this is the worst case scenario, negative 10,000. This could be negative 1,000. It's just a really large negative number. So we're going to loop over all of the potential moves, or however many moves there are. Like we're just going to loop over those. And we're going to say, like, if the score of that move is greater than best score, then we set the best score to that. And then the best move is equal to I. Now, every single like score you go over is going to be better than negative 10,000. As we saw right here, where did we set it? Okay. Okay, so we need to actually set that. So I'm gonna say if check winner of data.board data we actually need to specify which player we have right here. So let's just equal to player. So this is going to be either X or O. So if this is equal to player and this is equal to player, and we could just say and look at that. If all 3 of these are equal to player, then the result is true. So anytime I'll check winner, we'll just say data.current player. Right here. So we're going to say data.player2 move.score is equal to, we said negative 100. If check winner of data.player1 move.score equal to 100, else move.score is equal. Actually, we need to say else if available spaces.length is equal to 0. Okay, so every time we call this function, we're just going to check to see if any player has 1. If so, we set move.score, or sorry, we don't want to set the score. We want to return score negative 100. We haven't defined move yet, so that's not going to work. Okay, so we're returning. If there's a winner, then the function minimax gets called, or it gets terminated with this return function, and it'll have an object with a score of negative 100, 100, 0. So we should be able to, okay, that's where we're calling right here. So we call minimax and we get the score. So move.score, we call the function. If it gets a score back, we get that right here, and that'll give us like what the move is. So let's do player 2. Now it's going to look very similar to this. Do else if this is going to be positive 1000. I'm going to say if this is less than best score, then after here we're going to earn moves of best move. Okay, and for now I think we're just console.logging let move equal to impossible move. Let's just console.log move. Just check to see if this works. It might not work. Okay. Yep, we ran out of memory, so there's probably an issue more on the function. This is a very complex algorithm, as you guys can see. Actually did not expect it to work the first time. So okay, right here, moves. This should be potential moves. See if that fixes it. Nope. Okay. Right here, we need to set data.board of available spaces of I equal to player. And when we're calling minimax, right here we are, okay. Let's see if this works. Gonna be a lot of debugging, I think. Okay. Console is not a function. Move. Should be console.log. Okay. Undefined. Okay. Still didn't work. This is why. We need to const move. We need a console log here. I think I put the console log in the wrong spot. Yeah. Okay, so it's saying best move is right here. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we can where's okay, we can say .index. So we want to do essentially the same thing. We could say data.board of index equal to data.player2, and after that I'm just going to do data.currentPlayer, just set it back to player1. Let's see. Okay, index is not defined here. Oh, this needs to be moved. Possible. Okay. E2 mint dot reselector. Better way to do it. Use this. It's not letting me go anymore. Putting game over to true. That's probably why. So right here we can say data game over. As you can see, it's not working for some reason. Isn't it working? Check winner. Let's set this in here. Might be why. This really? I think this is the issue right here. Player 1. And this needs player 2. Hope that's it, but also. Okay. So, let's edit. It'll try to win, but let it. Okay. Cool. All right, let's go through this. I probably made a few changes, so I'm not sure where I left off. For the check winner, I'm also passing in the player that you want to check. So it's just going to be X or O. So we're just going to loop through. If all three indexes in the condition are the same as the player, then there is a winner. And let's look at the minimax algorithm. So first we get the available spaces by filtering out any space that has an X or an O. So it'll just be an array of all potential available spaces. Check if there's a winner for data an X. So if X is winning, then we return negative 100. If player 2 wins, we return a score of 100. Obviously, the computer doesn't want to get negative 100 for a score. And if available spaces.length is 0, that means I and score. So best case gives 100, worst case it gets negative 100, and then hide 0. So potential moves is an empty array at first. Loop over the available spaces, which is the filtered out array, to get a whole bunch of moves. So move will have two things on it. It'll have an index and it'll have a score. So the index is just the data.board available spaces.I. So like if the for let I equal 0, like this could be like space or index of or 0 through 8 essentially, but we just get an index. We set the space to the current player that we're looping over with the minimax. That's this variable right here. If player is 0, we could also say like if player is data.player2, then the score of that move is we run the function again. This time we're going to switch to data.player1 score. Else Otherwise, if this isn't true, if we're not on player 2, then we check for player 2. Data board of it. Then we're going to reset the move so that it's not permanent. So this would have been like, if we were looking at space number 4, like we're just going to reset it back to a number. And we push the potential move to there. That way we can get a whole bunch of potential moves as well as their score, and then it's not going to make any permanent changes to the game board. That best move equals 0. So if we're looking at data.do, then they're going to try to minimize. So the worst case scenario, negative 10,000. Any score you get is going to be better than 10,000. Just because of how we have them set up with negative 100, 100, 0. We're going to loop over all of our potential moves. And if the score of that potential move is greater than negative 10,000, which it will be, it has to be, then we're going to set the best score to that potential move. And the best move is equal to that index. So we get that right there. So essentially, like first move, it might be negative 100. That becomes your best potential score and best potential move. And then if you go through, the computer is like, oh, this move results in a tie, so it's a score of 0. Then that becomes the best move. Then it'll look again, and it's like, oh wait, this move right here that I get wins me the game. That gives me a score of 100. That is the best move, and you won't be able to like beat that score, right? So essentially, it's going to either, for the most part, it's always going to be like negative 100 or 0 for a score. Negative 100 means it loses. 0 means it ties. So it's always going to look to tie or to win the game. Which, if you're playing correctly, it should always go on a tie. Otherwise, if we're looking at player 1, best score is 1,000. And if the score is less than 10,000, which it will also be, best score is equal to like move of that score. So this is where we're going to maximize the score. So your first move, it might be negative 100 to 100, going to be less than 10,000, obviously. So the best case scenario here is you try to get as high as possible. Essentially the same thing as we're doing here, just the inverse. And that way, like the computer can say, the computer is going to assume that you are going to make the best possible move. So it's going to loop over all potential moves and see like what's the best move, considering that you, the human, or you, the person that's playing, makes the best possible move. And then it will decide a potential move off of that. And turn that here. We are going to put right here, possible move. So we get that move back, index. So we're going to say that's going to give us a number back. We're going to set that to an O. We're going to set the class list. Then we need to check if check winner data 2. We need to check this. So let's actually, we can just say if conditions I'm going to let it win. I just want to see if it'll display like they've won the game. Okay. Probably. Probably need to move that. Move both of them. Here. And let's go to. Okay, so we are changing player right there. So let's do data or change player data. And we need to put that right there. Okay, possible has won the game. Cool. And let's try to see if we can get a tie. Okay, so we don't have to check to see if we'll win, because if we've programmed this correctly, we will never win. Let's push that real quick. Okay, hopefully that made sense. It's a little bit difficult to explain. Essentially, using recursion, we're trying to determine like the best possible move for AI to make. There's one last thing that we need to do, and that's just reset game and new game. Do the new game first. That's actually going to be relatively easy. Let's grab that const new game button. Right here. Start button. Found restart button. New game button dot add event listener. Click. We don't need to listen to the event. Okay, there's a few ways we could do this. We could like initialize the game again, wherever that is. Initialize the game with data. However, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do window.location reload. So just location reload. It might just be location reload. This just refreshes the page. I don't know if that's. Okay, yeah. Location.reload. This is pretty much just a refresh button. And I think that's already set up. So, first new game, just bring up the form. And if we like put stuff here, press new game, we'll clear everything out, refresh the game, restart game. It's going to be a little bit more tricky, but reset game. Okay, here, instead of putting it globally, let's actually move this into initialize game. Put it into initialize game, we'll still have access to data. So let's put it right here. So we could put it inside of this. Right here. So reset game.add event listener. We have to reset a lot of those data variables, which we just have to initialize variables again. I think that should work. So go Rob possible. If I click reset game. We have to clear the DOM as well. So just make a function const DOM equals to grab all these. Box.class to say box box.content. Okay. And we also need to change this. Well, so cool. I think that's all. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. Recursion and minimax and stuff can be a little bit tricky, but if you guys have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, I'm really glad we got through this, and I think this project turned out quite well. The last thing we're going to do, let's just push all of our changes. We're going to go on to GitHub and refresh. We should see all of our changes. Perfect. We're going to do a GitHub page so that you can visit this website from anywhere. So okay. Oh, here it is. Putting with Rob's github.io. Okay, here we go. Now, if I go to this URL from anywhere, it should be live. So, yeah, that's GitHub Pages. It was relatively easy. You just go to repo, go to settings, go down to pages. Then, yeah, you just make sure it's from main, and yeah, it'll pop up here after just a few minutes. You can visit that site. So, if you make it and you want somebody else to be able to see it, like, you just send them to this URL. Yeah, there's your website. So I think this one turned out really well. And yeah, thanks for following. Next week we tackle, I think it's called restaurant page. Yeah, restaurant page. So I'm really excited to start working on this one. And let's mark this one as complete. I'll see you guys again very soon.